Hi, welcome to our Marcus Bonna Masterclass with our trombone section and tuba from the Metropolitan Opera. My name is Barbara Yustline Curry, and I am a horn player, and I'm so grateful to be spending my day with these fine colleagues and musicians. I wanted to introduce everybody here. We have Demian Austin, who is our principal trombone player from the Met. Hi, Demian. We have the illustrious John Romero, also also one of our Met principal trombone players. Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Barbara. Doing well. Doing it illustriously.
Great, great. We have Weston Sprott, who is our second trombone player at the Met. Hi, Weston.
Hi.
How are you? Then we have Paul Pollard, the illustrious Pollard, our bass trombone player. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hello, friends. Great to see you. Great to see you guys in Brazil.
And last but not least, we have Chris Hall, our tuba player from the Met. Hi, Chris.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for doing this.
Oh, yeah, this is really fun. We have one more member here who is not a brass player and has very kindly agreed to translate for us into Portuguese, and that is Brendan Kane, who is a double bass player from the Met. Hi, Brendan. How are you?
Hi, good to see you. Oi, gente.
Oi, thank you very much again. Obrigado.
Com prazer, absolutamente.
So we have this fantastic opportunity to at least virtually go to Brazil and speak with Marcus Bonna and his son Andre Bonna, who have a school called the Lyra Bragança. And I would like to introduce you to them. Hi, guys.
Hello, I'm Andre, Marcus here. We're going to be talking about of the school and how it started, right? And then you can go on with the masterclass, right? Just a quick thing. Our company, MB, was in São Paulo, like since 1991. And we were looking in 2000, 2005. That time we were looking for moving from São Paulo to the countryside. We're looking for more quality of life and more a way to export easily, right? São Paulo was too crowded, trucks, restrictions and stuff. So we were looking for to move to another city. So we decided to come to Bragança. It's just 80 kilometers from São Paulo. And then arriving here, we saw much kids in the streets, like after school, they were just doing basically nothing, no art, no sports, nothing. And what we do know is we know how to teach music, right? So we decided to do something about it, but we didn't know how to do it. So luckily we found a local here. He used to have a band. His name is Luis Custodio. He came to our company knowing that we were case makers, and then he presented his old project here in the city. It was a marching band that he had, and he wanted to continue that, to do more with that. So they joined forces, Marcos and Luis, to build Lyra Bragança. Now Lyra Bragança is just one of the three bands that we have, right? That we give classes and we develop kids. So Lyra Bragança, let's call it the most senior students now. We have a middle band, which is called Alegrete. It's the name of the school that they are in. It's a public school here in Bragança, so they teach music there. And there is a band there. It's called Fanfarra Alegrete, right? So this is the middle band, let's call it. And we have the small kids band now in another children's school, just to start music with small children. So we have now around 200 children in our project. The main band is around 30, 40 students. The middle band, the Fanfarra Alegrete, is the biggest one. We have around 130 130, 140, more or less. And on the small band, we have up to 20 children, the small children, right? So yeah, that's it. We are trying to grow the project. Now we lost the year, right? Everybody lost 2020. Yeah. We were not allowed to be together. That's why we are doing small. We are not joining everybody. We're just having small groups. So the masterclass is happening in 3 days, 3 different days. We're trying to be more like distant as possible, and we have also the protection, right? So let's hope for the best. And that's it.
Can you show us, do you have anything that you would maybe use for the instruments themselves in terms of protection? Is there anything that exists?
Yeah. Let's see. Come here, please, Sandro. We have for the trombone, we have in beige and black. It's made of non-woven fabric. It's the same fabric as the masks, right? Surgical masks. And we have for trombone in black and beige. We have for French horn, trumpet, and tuba over there, tuba.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Let's see. Excellent. Are you selling these yet?
We are not selling now, but we are.
I saw the idea with Eric last week.
Yeah, we don't know how much it would cost. We are just using for the band now and sending to some friends.
Great.
So you guys are gonna receive some. We don't know if you're gonna sell it. We're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you show the French horn version, because that is more difficult with having to use your hand in the bell?
Yeah, there is 2 modes for French horn. It's the one entirely covered that you can put your hand in, and there is the mode that is a cut. This is the.
Or you can cut.
Yeah, there's two modes, so that you can use with the hand or with mute, right? So yeah. This one is the cut one. Yeah. Both work fine. The sound is not too distorted, right? Because the fabric is made for that, right? It's made for masks. So let's see how it goes. If you guys see any difference, please let us know.
So, Andre, what was that piece?
It's a Villa Lobos Bachiana number 8. It's for a great orchestra, and I did an arrangement for the brass. They love to play a Villa Lobos.
Great. Okay, so the next one we have is Beale Street. Wish me luck here as we do this. So what was that, Marcus?
Yes, Beale Street Blues. I think everybody knows in the United States this. Yeah, and usually play in the last piece in the concert. I take my horn and they love joking.
That's awesome. I would like to see our trombone section move like that. Maybe you could teach them. All right. Next, we have the Bohemian Rhapsody. I think you guys are familiar with this.
Yes, it's Bohemian Rhapsody. It's crazy, and they love to play loud. I ask every time a little bit less, but as much louder is better.
I think that's very common. All right. We have three more now. They're relatively short. So oh wait. Oh, Demian. So do you want to introduce the next it's the Entrada Capito Cacula.
It's a marching band music from Brazil called dobrado. We call here dobrado. We have a lot of dobrados here in Brazil to play for marching bands.
Got it. Okay. All right, here we go. Nice.
Yes, it's something like Philip Sousa in United States. Yeah, we have ours here also.
You have yours. Great. I like the step, the way that you're marching is great. Okay. Next, I'm going to play this one. Marcus, who is the little child?
Yes, the little child is, we call him in Brazil, mascot. I don't know how I say in English. He has 4 years, and she always asks us to play with us. Always. I organize a uniform for her, and it's okay. You can go.
Fantastic. I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, this is a maracatu. It's a movement of a ballet. We have 8 movements. Called Maracatu Chico Rei. He's a Brazilian composer, and this is the principal movement of the big piece.
All right. Well, thank you for giving us all those videos. We would love to hear your trombone quartet now.
Yeah.
So bye.
Bye.
They can start.
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay.
I'm going to mute myself from now on, pretty much.
or is okay?
Let's hear one more.
One more.
More.
This one is for the tuba player.
Marcus, is it possible to put the microphone a little bit closer or no?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty great right here. And it sounds like they're actually having a good time, which, you know, these days might be a little more important, but they managed to do both. So that's pretty great.
First of all, bravo to the players. It's obvious you guys have rehearsed this a lot. And for our American ears, that music is really, that dance-oriented music is very interesting. At least it is for mine, for sure. And you could probably teach us a little bit about those styles, honestly. But you know, in my opinion, from an orchestral player perspective, the two things that, in my opinion, could make it even more exciting than it was number one, if you keep the tempo up on low brass instruments, it's really easy to just, especially as a tune, as they play the tune, it's easy for the tempo to sag and lose the energy that I know a tune like that really needs. So make sure the tempo doesn't slow down. You know, you can imagine if they were playing this on a street corner and people just showed up and started dancing, they wouldn't want them to have to move from a really rhythmic dance to a slow dance. So keep the tempo up. And especially on the first tune, one other quick comment. I think it would help the guy playing first trombone on the first tune if everyone else stayed underneath him a little more and didn't overbalance him. And he could play with, I think, even more vibrato, even more brilliance, even more spirit in that solo and soar out over the ensemble in the first tune.
Yeah, here was okay. But the problem, we have a directional microphone.
Oh.
And we have the principal trombone there and the tuba here. This is the difficult.
Well, nonetheless, thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Foi ótimo, parabéns.
I can add a couple of things. I think if we think about some of the most important things in music, there's rhythm, phrasing, intonation, and sound. I think your sense of rhythm as a group is very good. You play very well together. I think a lot of this ability to play with great rhythm and great togetherness comes from the marching tradition and dance tradition that you have. This is something that I'm used to also because I grew up in marching band culture. I also think that your sense of articulation is very good, but I think the sense of phrasing and dynamics can be improved. So a lot of the music that you're playing, it sounds like it has two dynamics. You're either playing things fortissimo, or then you have things that are subito piano. They do fortissimo and then subito piano really well, but within each of those dynamics, there's still the ability to phrase within piano or to phrase within fortissimo, and they should think about this more. Yeah, so the last thing is think of forte or piano as a range of dynamics, or like, a spectrum of dynamic, not just a stale or a stable decibel level where you're just trying to play everything equally soft, but there's a range of softness. Cool. That's what I have.
Let's start with Rafael.
Bravo!
Bravo. Fantastic job. I really like, I think you have a really strong grasp of the technical aspects of this piece, and you're following all of the musical direction on the page very well. I think one thing you could do to make this piece come alive more is to basically add your own, do things that are not on the page, because right now what I'm hearing is just, sorry, I think that you could use more of, you could add more color in between what is written on the page. One thing that helps me to do this is to imagine the piece as if it was written for a violinist or a cellist, because they have a lot of ways to change the color of their instrument. For example, more pressure, faster bow, things like that, and I think you can imitate that on the trombone. Just as a concrete example, on the very first phrase that you have, I think you can use more of an emphasis on that downbeat of the fourth bar, because it's a non-chord tone, and it leads into the E flat on the second beat. Yeah, I can actually demonstrate that real quick. You know, just small things like that can really add up to a very beautiful and unique, original interpretation of the piece. And I think that was my main comment, if anyone else wants to take over.
Hi. It's really good, really fantastic. I agree with what John is saying. I think another way to put it, first an example. I noticed that you're using alternate positions. And I get a sense that you're using them because it's making it, at times it's making it easier. Right. But I would say don't think about that so much. Think of it a very different way. Think of it more like a string player who wants to play on one string for a sound, right? Let's see. I do. One of the things I really like that happens in this piece a lot is people play very short, and they get a little aggressive with it because it seems like a brass piece. You can play it very, I get this a lot where it's really punchy, And I like the fact that you're letting your sound ring, so that if you see a note with a staccato on it, you don't go ba, you just go ba, which is really important. So I like that. That's a positive. And then I'll be totally negative after that. So two quick things. One, for sure, I saw you make much longer phrases every now and then, but I think maybe nerves or something make you take shorter breaths sometimes. So your phrases can go very long, and then every now and then they were short, and you get to sneak a breath in. So if it's nerves, the breaths will actually calm you down. So remind yourself always to take breaths, just always take a huge breath so that you're always ready to make the longest phrase you can. And the last general comment, which really is also for the quartet and for anybody who's going to play a solo or an ensemble piece, something to get away from as soon as possible are the basics. You don't want to be thinking about rhythm. You don't want to be thinking about pitch. You don't want to be thinking about too many dynamics. That part should be done as soon as possible. Yeah, the idea, like an example of that is if you play a piece and you get to the end and you didn't miss a note and you say, yeah, I didn't miss a note. That's the beginning. You've done the first step, not the last. Right, so that's the general idea, but the point is that at that point, once you get there, that's where you can really start having fun. And it's almost impossible to think about the things that John and I are talking about in terms of sound, freedom, experimenting, all the rest of it, which is really the best part of playing music. And that's the point of it, and that's where you'll be free to experiment, have some fun, rhythm's gone, all of the basics. So, right. And the way that I would recommend doing that is memorize a phrase or two. You probably can by now, you've played it enough, but close your eyes sometime and just play as much as you can by memory, and I guarantee you it'll be 100 times better the first time you do it. Sounds great? I go on too long, so.
Foi ótimo. Parabéns. Foi muito bem.
Before we go on, does anybody else have any other comments? John or Weston?
I'll make a comment, and I'll try to keep it not too long, but I think it's an important one. I think you should think about each particular phrase that you play and determine what the peak of that phrase will be. And once you determine what the peak of the phrase is, determine how loud you want that note to be. And then work your way backwards from there, making sure that nothing else is ever bigger than the peak of the phrase. If you look at the Allegro moderato section, the first two phrases are 4-bar phrases. And the peak of each of those phrases is the downbeat of the 4th bar. Yes, so start there and work backwards. I'll demonstrate for you quickly what that would look like.
Ele pode tocar. Ele vai demonstrar.
If you practice this way, your phrasing will be very clear. That's all.
Entendi. Só isso.
Great. I think we should go on to our bass trombone player. But thank you so much, Rafael. You sound amazing.
Muito obrigado, Rafael. Parabéns.
So we have Luis Gustavo on bass trombone.
Hello, Luis. Great, nice playing. Thank you so much. For everyone may not know this piece, but this is the Concerto for Bass Trombone by Robert Spielman is the name of this piece. And it's a very special piece. Luis, you may not know this, but this was the very first piece ever written and designated a concerto for bass trombone. It was written right around the time when actually bass trombone started to be respected as a solo instrument, when a second valve was added, and musicians started to think of this as less about being just the third trombonist, but being an actual instrument by itself, and a solo repertoire started to develop, and this is one of the first pieces. It's one of the first pieces to truly require a second valve on the instrument. And one more quick thing, Robert Spielman is actually still alive, and he's actually a chorus. He's a choral director. He teaches in Colorado. Okay, so a few things. The very first thing, Luis, I was watching you play play your warm-up notes, and I was watching you breathe throughout this solo. And I think something you need to be aware of is that this instrument requires to be super consistent through all the registers. You've got to be more committed to a larger, fuller, expansive breath before you play and in the middle of the solo. I'm going to do exactly what he did. I haven't played in a while, so I'm going to play a few warm-up notes, but I want you to pay particular attention to my upper body and my commitment to taking a big, expansive breath. You see that? I took a multiple count, expansive breath. You can actually see my upper body expand. I don't see him committed to taking that kind of breath before he plays, and it's particularly important on an instrument like the bass trombone, which takes a lot of air. Before we go to the concerto, could we actually just hear him play a warm-up note again? And I want to see him take a 2-count breath where he really expands and fills up. Again.
Mais uma vez.
Yeah. You know, making sure that you take a nice full breath before you play. It has dual purpose. Number one, it's going to make your sound better, and number two, it's going to help you be less nervous. Right? So that simple idea will help your sound. It'll help your consistency, and it will also help you as a thinking, performing musician. Just making sure you breathe well. You know, again, really quickly, just to let you know, I begin my day every day with 3 or 4 minutes of breathing and stretching before I actually go to the instrument, because I value that. So, getting to the concerto, Luis, the first thing in the opening to A in this concerto, it's very rhythmic, and he needs to realize that the piano has little rhythmic interjections in the middle of what he's playing. So, if you do not stay completely in time, the pianist has no chance at being able to play these little piano chords in the middle of these complex rhythms that you have. So I'm not sure if he's committed to practicing this kind of thing with a metronome on, but I think he needs to more so that it doesn't slow down from the beginning to A.
Go ahead,
He can
Paul.
have one of his friends get the tuba player to stand up and sit there and clap beside him while he plays the opening.
Paul, you want to count them off?
Good. Yes.
Muito bom. Obrigado.
That had great rhythm and great pulse. You've got to play with a metronome enough in your practice so that when you take away the metronome, you still have that kind of intense, steady pulse. Another quick thing is that at letter B,
Letra B,
this concerto moves to some key areas that for many trombone players are not so comfortable. The first bar is in the key of, it's kind of in E major. The second one jumps to D major, which are keys that we don't often play as trombone players. And as a result, it's easy for it to be out of tune because we're not used to moving to those outer positions to get to the sharp notes. Have the first trombone player get up and come stand beside him. I want the first trombone player to play an E natural, and I want Luis to play the first bar of B. It's E, B, E, slowly, so he can hear the intonation over this drone E natural. And Luis play the first 3 notes very slowly to match the intonation of this E key tone center. Okay, stop.
Chega.
Luis, that's very out of tune against this E tone center. You're sharp. The E needs to be lower and the B natural needs to be lower on your slide. Again, E natural with the first and with Luis playing.
É. De novo.
E natural needs to be lower.
Mais para baixo.
There it is. That
Muito
you
bom.
can do. He can do that kind of work with a drone on his phone to make sure that he understands the key center of the different bars of this melodic section. One other quick thing before I let my colleagues chime in. This concerto also has some extremely low bass trombone notes. There at there's a lot of that kind of stuff in this concerto. Luis needs to make sure that he's blowing his air slower and directly into the back of the mouthpiece in order for these pedal notes to come out. Versus, again, the higher notes, I'm blowing the air downward, more narrow, and quicker. But in this concerto, for these low notes, slow air being blown directly into the back of the mouthpiece. Try that on his first pedal F at letter E. Have him play a pedal F. There it is. Another thing that he can do to help these notes come out is try to buzz them. Buzz it. Luis, you buzz. Okay. This is another reason why he's having trouble with these low notes. His lips cannot buzz the pitch. And in my opinion, it's not everyone would agree with this, but in my opinion, the trombone only amplifies what he does on the mouthpiece. If he can get closer to buzzing the right pitch, it's going to come out well on the bass trombone.
Hey, Paul. I'm
Yes.
sorry to cut in here because I'm a fourth horn player and I love this, and I'm just loving the low notes that Luis is getting from his bass trombone. But we do have to go to tuba because we have like 8 minutes left only. So I'm very sorry, but I think I'm gonna have to cut it short here. Thank you so much, Luis. You sound amazing.
Muito obrigado, Luis. Foi ótimo. Parabéns.
So for tuba, we have Lucas. Hi, Lucas. And again, feel comfortable, play a few notes. Lucas, I think, has been with the Lyra Bragança since 2010. Thank you so much. Chris, you want to just take it away?
Obrigado, Lucas.
Great job.
So as far as I can tell, it sounds good. I would like to hear you I'm sorry, because of the tuba not working as well on Zoom, I have found over the past month or so. Can you play the first excerpt slower, just a little bit slower, and focus on the pitch of each note as you do it? The rhythm was pretty good on the first movement excerpt, but I'd like to hear it slower so that I can hear the clarity of what you're doing. I'm going slow here, but what I'd like you to do is the same thing I just asked you to do, but a little bit louder and longer. Well, that gave me a lot more to comment on. It sounds very good. I do think you should work from medium dynamics to really loud dynamics and then back it off so that you can get in between and have everything sound more consistent. Make the loud stuff as easy as, let's say, mezzo forte. Also, regarding that, sometimes the more we try to play loud, we end up putting more effort in. We end up sounding not as loud, not as big. And for example, in recent times, there have been moments where I've been in a performance situation and noticed, am I playing loud enough? And I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm being efficient, but it sounds like it's loud enough. So if that makes sense. So I found in performance recently, I was noticing that I'm not working so hard and I don't feel like I'm playing loud, and I start to wonder, am I playing loud enough? And then I listen and it seems like I am playing loud enough, but it's more efficient. So the more efficient you are, the more volume you will get, is what I'm saying. As far as this excerpt goes, though, I think work a bit with a tuner, just to make sure that your octaves match and it matches within the framework of the piece, and with chromatic notes. Would now that my brain is lost, could you play the second excerpt again? Okay. All right, now I remember what I wanted to talk about. And it is the same thing Pollard talked about, getting in more air, and also being able to get enough air in quickly when you take your second and third and fourth breaths in a long phrase such as that.
I think we have to wrap it up. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to say? And I'm sorry that we're not giving more time to Lucas.
Just briefly, I thought your solos sounded really great when you played in the ensemble, and you're a fine player. I would just advise that you play those a little bit louder, and that they play a little less loud when you're playing the solo thing. So, but that's it. The group sounded great. You sound great. I wish I had more time to listen to you more.
Yeah, and I would say everybody sounded great. This last excerpt, I don't know about you, Chris, but I would say like for me, the articulation could be a little bit stronger. Is that something that you might feel like it got a little bit lost? Because it's a similar excerpt like in the horn, but
I would agree with that, but I also would say that some of it might be microphone and connection issues, because I've heard a few players recently, and we've had difficulty hearing some different tessituras, different octaves. But
great. So Marcus and Andre, I think we need to wrap this up, but if possible, I'd love to get a really quick screenshot from everybody with the whole group. Marcus, Andre, and everybody there, I want to thank you so much for coming and playing for us. The students sound amazing, and the videos that you shared were great. And I also wanted to thank my Met colleagues, Demian Austin, John Romero, Weston Sprott, Denson Paul Pollard, Chris Hall, and Brendan Kane for joining me today and listening to everybody here in Brazil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Great, thanks. Bye.
Bye. See
Guys.
you next weekend.
Até o próximo, tá?
Yeah.
Até. Obrigado, Brenda.
Yeah.
Obrigado a vocês.